The Galaxy Council Hall was shining with lights. Delegates from hundreds of species gathered together. Every chair was filled. Every voice spoke in whispers. Today was not an ordinary day. Today they expected the arrival of humanity. The council chamber was built like a giant dome. Its ceiling showed the stars in real time. Blue, green, and red lights flashed across the glass walls. Banners of the great empires hung above the circle of delegates. For centuries, this was the place where wars ended and peace began. This was the stage for diplomacy. The council members expected humans to arrive in small ships. They thought humans would come with soft words and folded hands. To the elders of the galaxy, humans were still young, a species from the edge of the spiral arm, brave perhaps, but still weak. They expected speeches, apologies, and promises, but instead of music, a warning alarm broke the silence. The great hall shook slightly. Every delegate turned their eyes to the massive screen above the chamber. The defense grid had detected something huge. At first they thought it was a mistake. The object entering orbit was too large, too heavy, too armored to be a diplomatic cruiser. Then the name appeared on the screen, Terran Dreadnought. The council chamber froze. The murmurs rose into panic, alien voices filled with fear. "Why would humans bring a warship to diplomacy?" one delegate shouted. "They insult us," cried another. A reptilian elder hissed. "Perhaps they mean to threaten us." The whispers turned into arguments. The galaxy had prepared for talks, but humanity had brought a monster. The Dreadnought appeared above the planet. Its black hull blocked the light of nearby stars. It moved slowly like a predator circling prey. Every sensor confirmed it was armed. Cannons lined its sides, missiles hidden inside its body. No ship in the Council's fleet could match its size. The sight alone was enough to make proud empires tremble. Inside the hall, the council leader rose. He was an ancient being with silver skin. His voice echoed across the chamber. "Silence. We must wait. We must see what the humans intend." But even his voice shook with unease. Outside, the Dreadnought gave no greeting, no words, no explanation. It simply drifted into position, silent and unyielding. The longer it stayed, the heavier the fear became. The galaxy was used to power being shown with words, but humans showed power with presence. Stories of humanity's wars were remembered. The insectoid race recalled the Battle of Varos. The amphibians remembered the Siege of Carvon. Each memory reminded them that humans fought differently. They did not beg. They did not break. And now, standing before the galaxy's greatest council, they did not send diplomats. They sent a warship. In the shadows of the council hall, one young alien whispered, "This is not diplomacy. This is a warning." The word spread quickly. Delegates stared at the giant image of the Dreadnought on the screen. It had no smile, no voice, only steel. And steel spoke louder than words. Minutes passed, each second heavier than the last. The Dreadnought's engines glowed softly. Its shields shimmered like a wall of glass. Every defense system in orbit aimed at it, but none dared to fire, because every commander knew if the Dreadnought fired first, the planet would burn. Back in the hall, debates grew louder. Some wanted to demand the humans leave. Some wanted to prepare their fleets. Others whispered that perhaps humanity was simply testing them. No one knew the truth, and the truth was the most dangerous weapon of all. Suddenly, the massive doors of the chamber opened. A hush fell across the hall. Steps echoed against the marble floor. A group of humans entered. Not many, only a handful. Their uniforms were dark, their faces calm. At their center walked a tall figure, the commander of the Dreadnought. He did not bow, he did not smile. He only looked at the council with steady eyes, the kind of eyes that had seen wars and returned alive. His voice was quiet, but it carried across the chamber. "We came as requested," he said, "but we do not kneel." The words struck harder than weapons. Every alien in the chamber felt the weight of them. It was not arrogance, it was certainty. The certainty of a species that had survived everything thrown at them. The certainty of a species that had nothing left to prove. The galaxy expected diplomacy, but humanity had arrived with a Dreadnought, and the meaning of that choice would echo far beyond this hall. It was not only the start of a meeting, it was the beginning of a new balance of power. The silence stretched. Every heartbeat in the chamber was loud. The galaxy was waiting for the next word. But the humans gave nothing. only their presence, only their dreadnought. And that was enough to change everything. The council chamber was still silent after the human commander's words. No one had expected such boldness. No one had expected such calm defiance. The galaxy's most powerful leaders sat frozen. They had expected papers and speeches, but humans gave them steel and silence. Among the delegates, memories began to rise. Every empire had a story of humanity, stories whispered in fear, stories that elders told younglings. The insectoid chieftain recalled how his people tried to enslave humans on a distant mining world. Instead of surrender, the humans had burned the mines, destroyed the ships, and escaped through fire. The amphibian representative remembered the siege of Carvon, thousands of humans trapped on a water world, starving and dying, but they fought for every drop until rescue came. They did not break, they did not kneel. The galaxy had always believed humans survived by luck, that their victories were accidents, but the dreadnought above the planet was as not luck. It was proof of design, will, and pain. Every scar on its hull was a story of survival. Every weapon on its side was a promise of vengeance. The human commander stood still in the chamber. Behind him, his officers remained silent. They looked like shadows carved from iron. No fear, no weakness, only watchful eyes. The council delegates felt small under their gaze. It was as if the humans were measuring each of them, judging them without a word. The silver-skinned council leader finally spoke. "Humans, why do you arrive with a weapon of war?" His voice echoed, but his hands trembled slightly. "This is a hall of peace, not a battlefield." The human commander's lips curved into something close to a smile, but it was not a friendly smile. It was the smile of someone who knew more than he said. He replied, "Because peace means nothing if it cannot stand against war." The words rippled across the chamber like thunder. Delegates gasped. Others shouted. "Arrogant species," cried one. "They threaten us with war," screamed another. The hall broke into chaos. Every alien feared the meaning behind those words. While the arguments burned, one quiet delegate from a minor world whispered to himself, "They are not threatening us. They are reminding us." But his voice was lost in the storm. The council screens flashed with data. Outside, the dreadnought's engines shifted slightly. Its shadow covered the city below. Civilian ships fled the orbit, afraid of being caught in destruction. Yet the dreadnought did nothing. It only watched, and that silence was heavier than 1,000 guns. One reptilian general slammed his claw on the table. "I say we summon our fleets. We will not be humiliated by an upstart world." But even as he shouted, his eyes flicked nervously to the screen. He knew the truth. If fleets were summoned, they would burn. The dreadnought was not a toy. It was a giant made for war. The human commander turned slowly. He let the council see his back, a gesture that shocked many. No one ever turned their back in the chamber. It was a sign of contempt, but the commander walked to the massive window. Through the glass, the dreadnought loomed like a mountain. He raised his hand toward it and said softly, "This ship is not here to fight, but it is here to remind you who we are." The hall fell quiet again. Everyone felt the weight of the unspoken words. Humans had brought their history into this chamber. The scars of every war, the ghosts of every fallen soldier, all of it stood with them now, embodied in the dreadnought. One elder with wings leaned forward, his voice tired. "Young species, do you not fear what you awaken? Do you not fear uniting the galaxy against you?" The human commander turned, his eyes sharp. "Fear is for those who have not suffered," he replied. "We have lived through fire, we have buried our dead, we have faced extinction more than once. Tell me, what more should we fear?" The chamber shook with silence again. Every word was heavy, every sentence cut deeper than weapons. The galaxy had thought humans weak, desperate for peace, but now they saw the truth. Humans did not come here to beg. They came here to remind the galaxy of history, and history was written in blood. The dreadnought outside shifted once more. Its weapons glimmered faintly in the starlight. It was like a beast waiting for its master's signal. The council could feel it. Every heartbeat, every breath was tied to that silent ship. It was more than a vessel. It was a statement carved in steel. The human commander stepped back into the center of the hall. He looked around slowly, at every face, at every species, and then he spoke once more. "We came as requested," he said, "but remember this, we do not kneel and we do not forget." The words sank like stones in deep water. The council members looked at each other. For the first time in centuries, they did not feel like rulers of the galaxy. They felt like prey staring at a hunter. And that hunter had finally arrived. The galaxy expected diplomacy, but instead they were given a memory of war, a memory of survival, a memory that humans carried with them into every star, and that memory was heavier than any treaty. Far above the council planet, the Terran Dreadnought floated in silence. Its hull was scarred with old battles, yet every scar looked like a medal. Alien ships circled at a distance, afraid to come closer. No one dared to fire. No one dared to test its patience. Inside, the Dreadnought was alive with low hums and whispers. Steel corridors stretched like veins of a giant beast. Lights glowed faintly, showing the marks of repairs, patches, and burns. Every wall carried stories of survival. At the heart of the ship stood the command bridge, a wide hall of glass and steel, filled with screens that showed the planet below. The crew worked in silence, their eyes sharp, their movements precise. No one spoke unless it was necessary. They had learned long ago that silence was a weapon too. The commander walked through the bridge, his boots echoing against the floor. He looked at the giant display where the council chamber's signals streamed in. He saw the panic of the aliens, their fear hidden behind long speeches. His lips pressed into a thin line. He knew this was not a meeting. This was a test. Behind him, an officer broke the silence. "Sir, the council is still debating. No clear decision." The commander did not look back. "They debate because they are afraid," he said quietly. "Fear makes them slow, and slowness gives us strength." In another part of the ship, soldiers prepared in silence. They checked weapons, not because they expected battle, but because it was ritual. They wore armor marked with scratches, proof of survival against fire and blade. One young soldier paused, his hand trembling some lightly as he touched his rifle. An older veteran placed a hand on his shoulder. "Remember, we don't come here to fight, but if they force us, we finish what they start." The young soldier nodded, his eyes hardening. Deep inside the Dreadnought, there was a hall lined with relics, a museum of human scars, fragments of ships destroyed in old wars, helmets of fallen soldiers, burnt flags from lost colonies. Every crew member walked past these relics before reaching the bridge. It was tradition. It was a reminder. Peace meant nothing without memory. The commander himself stopped before a cracked piece of armor mounted on the wall. It belonged to his father, who had died on the frontier. His hand brushed against the cold metal. He whispered to himself, "We did not come this far to kneel." Back on the bridge, sensors beeped. An alien scout ship tried to scan the Dreadnought. The shields flared, and the scout systems burned out instantly. The Dreadnought did not fire, it did not chase, it only returned silence. But that silence was a warning. Every alien watching knew the truth. This was not a ship they could measure. It was beyond numbers, beyond courage, beyond fear. On the lower deck, engineers worked calmly. One of them looked up at the glowing shields and said, "Do you think they understand why we brought her here?" Another replied, "They will, or they won't. But either way, they will never forget this day." The commander returned to the bridge. His officers looked at him, waiting for orders. He raised his hand toward the planet. "Prepare the signal," he said. A young officer tapped the controls. The Dreadnought's lights pulsed once, sending a message through orbit. It was not a threat. It was not a greeting. It was a statement. Humanity was here, and they would not be ignored. In the council chamber, alien delegates gasped as their systems lit up. Every screen flashed with the same signal, a single phrase in Terran standard. "We seek peace, but we do not beg." The council leader's face turned pale. The meaning was clear. The who. Mans had not come for soft words. They had come with a memory of war and the promise of power. On the Dreadnought's bridge, the crew watched silently. They knew the council would try to test them. They knew threats would come, but they also knew the truth. The galaxy had prepared for diplomats, but humanity had sent warriors wrapped in steel, and warriors did not kneel. The commander looked out through the glass. Stars glittered like cold eyes in the void. His voice was low, but everyone on the bridge heard it. "This is only the beginning." The massive doors of the council chamber groaned open. The sound rolled like thunder through the hall. Every delegate turned their eyes toward the entrance, and there they were, the humans. They did not come in crowds, only a small group. Their boots echoed on the marble floor as if the whole galaxy listened. The air grew heavy. Whispers died instantly. For the first time in centuries, the chamber felt smaller. At the center walked the human commander. His uniform was dark, marked with the insignia of countless campaigns. Behind him came his officers, eyes sharp, jaws set. No fear showed on their faces. They walked not like visitors, but like equals. Every step reminded the council of the Dreadnought waiting above. The silver-skinned council leader rose from his throne. He tried to smile, but the smile trembled. "Welcome, humans," he said. "This is a hall of diplomacy, not of war." The human commander stopped in the middle of the chamber. His voice was steady, low, but every corner of the hall heard him. "We know where we stand," he said, "but do not mistake our patience for weakness." Gasps filled the room. Delegates shifted uneasily. Some pounded their tables. Others hissed in anger. "Arrogance," one cried. "They come with threats," shouted another. The chamber erupted in voices. It was no longer a meeting. It was a storm. The human commander raised his hand and the voices stopped as if cut by a blade. His eyes swept the chamber slowly. He looked at every empire, every ruler, every predator. Then he spoke again. "You invited us here for peace, and we came. But peace without respect is only chains, and humanity does not wear chains." The words fell like fire. Delegates leaned back, their throats dry. No species had spoken this way in the council. For centuries, others begged to join, begged to belong. But humans stood unbent. Their dreadnought above the skies made their words heavier than stone. One reptilian warlord slammed his claws on the table. "Is this your diplomacy, to parade your warship and spit on tradition?" His tongue hissed with rage, but his eyes betrayed fear. The human commander turned his head slightly. "No," he said calmly. "This is our diplomacy. We speak with truth. We stand with strength. If that frightens you, perhaps it is not us who insult this hall, but your own weakness." The chamber froze. For a moment it seemed the warlord might leap across the floor, but the shadow of the dreadnought outside held him back. Everyone in the chamber knew one truth. If a single shot was fired, the planet would burn. Suddenly the chamber's great windows shimmered. Outside, the dreadnought lowered its stealth shields. The alien sky darkened under its bulk. Its weapons glowed faintly, alive but silent. A collective shiver ran through the chamber. No one had ever seen such power unveiled in the heart of the council. A winged elder whispered, "They could destroy us all." Another whispered back, "That is the point." The commander let the silence stretch. He knew silence could cut deeper than any word. Finally, he said, "We did not come to kneel, and we did not come to beg. We came to remind you, humanity's voice is not small. It is as vast as the ship above your skies. You will listen, whether you wish it or not." The silver-skinned council leader swallowed hard. He felt the weight of history pressing on his shoulders. For centuries, the galaxy had thought humanity young and weak, but now they stood here, unbroken, unafraid, and their dreadnought spoke louder than every treaty. Arguments broke again. Some demanded humans be punished, expelled, even destroyed. Others whispered caution, warning that war with humans could doom them all. The chamber became a storm once more, but through it all, the humans stood still, like stone in the middle of fire. Like steel in the heart of chaos. The commander did not raise his voice again. He only watched, silent. His silence was a blade sharper than speeches. His presence was a storm heavier than armies. The galaxy had prepared for talks, but now it stood face to face with the truth. Humanity was not here to join, not here to kneel. They were here to change the balance, and the balance trembled with every breath. The chamber lights flickered. Every delegate stared at the humans, some with fear, some with anger, some with awe. But all of them knew one truth. Nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same. Not after this day, not after the Dreadnought. The council chamber shook as voices clashed. Delegates screamed, threatened, and demanded answers. The galaxy's rulers had never been challenged in their own hall, yet here stood humanity, calm as stone. The silver-skinned leader tried to restore order. He raised his trembling hand. "Enough," he cried. But even his words were drowned by the storm of anger. One reptilian warlord pointed his claw at the humans. "You dare to stand here with weapons above our skies. You dare to mock us with your warship." His voice hissed through the chamber. "You should be destroyed for this insult." The human commander did not move. He did not blink. Instead, he raised one hand slowly. The gesture was small, but the effect was great. High above, the Dreadnought answered. Through the massive chamber windows, the sky darkened. The Dreadnought. This hull shimmered as hidden panels slid open. Cannons emerged like silent beasts waking from sleep. Energy crackled along its spine. Glowing lines of power spread across its surface. It was no longer a ship. It was a fortress of war. Gasps erupted. Delegates shrank back in their seats. Even the proudest rulers leaned away from the glass. The sheer size of the weapons made their fleets seem like toys. The human commander's voice broke the silence. "You speak of destruction," he said. "Then look upon it. This ship has faced warlords, empires, and extinction itself. It survived. It carries every scar as a reminder. It is not here to conquer you, but it is here to remind you that peace without respect is only an illusion." His words struck like hammers. The reptilian warlord fell silent, his claw shaking. The chamber felt smaller now. Every breath was heavy. Every heart raced. The Dreadnought slowly rotated above the city. Its shadow stretched across towers and streets. Civilians below froze, staring at the steel giant. Some prayed, some hid. Some simply watched in silence. Every soul on the planet knew that their lives were now tied to the will of the humans. On the council floor, a winged elder whispered, "If they fire once, our world is ash." Another answered, "That is why they don't need to fire. The threat is enough." The commander let the silence linger, then he lowered his hand. At once the Dreadnought's weapons folded back into its hull. The glow of energy faded, the ship returned to its quiet, patient stance. But the memory of its unveiling burned in every eye. The silver-skinned leader finally spoke. "Why?" his voice cracked. "Why show us this? Why bring fear into this hall?" The commander's gaze was steady. "Because you must understand us," he said. "Humanity does not bow to power. Humanity is power. You cannot threaten us with fleets. You cannot silence us with decrees. We came for peace, but not at the cost of chains." The chamber fell quiet, ever. Delegates stared, some with fury, some with awe, some with deep unease. They had invited humans expecting a weak race, desperate for approval. Instead, they found a people who walked into the galaxy's heart carrying thunder in their hands. A young amphibian delegate whispered, "Perhaps they are not here to join us. Perhaps they are here to force us to change." His words carried no anger, only realization. The commander stepped forward one pace. His boots echoed through the silent chamber. "You prepared for talks, and we answered, but you must decide now. Will this hall become a place of respect, or will it become a battlefield?" The words fell like iron. No delegate dared to answer. For the first time in history, the Galaxy Council did not feel in control. They felt cornered, and the one who cornered them stood calm, silent, unafraid. Above, the Dreadnought remained still, but its presence was louder than any army. It was the ghost of every human war. It was the shadow of a species that had endured everything and survived. The chamber lights flickered. Delegates looked at each other with wide eyes. They realized something terrifying. The humans did not need their council, but the council now needed the humans. The balance had shifted, and the galaxy trembled. The council chamber was silent. The Dreadnought outside no longer moved, yet its presence pressed on every chest. Every delegate felt the weight of it. No one dared to breathe too loudly. The human commander stood tall in the center. His eyes swept across the chamber, calm and unyielding. Then he spoke, his voice steady. "You ask why we are here, why we brought the Dreadnought. The answer is simple. We came to speak of peace, but we came to remind you that peace without strength is nothing." Murmurs spread. Some delegates looked away, ashamed. Others clenched their jaws in anger, but no one interrupted. The commander's words cut too deep. He continued. "For centuries you called us young. You called us weak. You thought of humanity as children stumbling among the stars. But we are no longer children. We grew in fire. We buried our dead in the ruins of wars you ignored, and we built strength from every scar." He gestured toward the giant window where the Dreadnought's outline blocked the stars. "That ship is not just steel. It is every life lost in the dark. It is every colony defended with blood. It is the proof that humanity endures, and endurance is greater than fear." The words rang through the chamber like bells of iron. Delegates shifted in their seats, their pride shaken. They remembered their own wars. How many times had their species surrendered, begged, or fled? But humans spoke of none of these. They spoke of survival, of never kneeling. The reptilian warlord hissed, his voice low now, not filled with rage, but unease. Do you mean to rule us, human? Do you mean to make yourselves masters of this galaxy? The commander shook his head slowly. No, we do not seek to rule, we do not come to conquer. But we will not be ruled, we will not be conquered, we stand as equals, or we do not stand at all. The chamber fell quiet again. The silver-skinned leader leaned forward, his voice soft. Then what is it you seek? The commander's gaze sharpened. Respect, he said. Not gifts, not pity, not permission. Respect. We will walk beside you, but we will never kneel before you. His words struck harder than any weapon. Delegates looked at one another, their fear turning into something else. Recognition. For the first time they saw humans not as a nuisance, not as a young race desperate for a seat. They saw them as a force that had already carved its place in the galaxy. An elder with wings spoke slowly. Perhaps we were wrong, perhaps we judged you before we understood, but your methods are heavy. Do you not fear that your strength will one day become your weakness? The commander's eyes narrowed slightly. Fear is natural, but we do not let fear guide us. We let memory guide us. Every grave, every scar, every child saved from extinction, that is our strength. That is why we will never kneel. The dreadnought above shifted its orbit slightly. Its engines hummed low, echoing across the city below. The sound rolled through the chamber like distant thunder. Delegates stiffened, their hearts pounding. The reminder was clear. The ship waited only for the commander's word. But instead of giving that word, the commander lowered his hand. He turned his gaze away from the windows, back to the council. We do not want your fear, he said. We want your understanding. If you wish peace, then let it be peace built on respect. If you wish alliance, then let it be alliance built on equality. We are not your servants, and we are not your prey. We are humanity, and we will never kneel. The chamber shivered with silence. No one spoke. No one argued. Even the proudest rulers lowered their eyes. The message was clear. The dreadnought was proof of human power. But the voice that delivered the message was proof of human will. Outside, the dreadnought's lights dimmed again. It was as if the ship itself had spoken through its commander, a silent monument to human survival. The galaxy had prepared for negotiations, but what they received was a lesson written not in ink, but in iron. For the first time, the council leaders truly understood this was not about one meeting, one treaty, or one hall. This was about the future. A future where humanity would no longer ask for a place. A future where humanity would take its place, and no one, not even the oldest empires, could deny them. The silence deepened, and the galaxy trembled. The council chamber felt colder than the void outside. No one moved, no one spoke. Every delegate's eyes shifted between the humans in the hall and the dreadnought waiting. In orbit, the silence was so heavy it pressed against the walls. The silver-skinned council leader finally rose from his throne. His voice trembled as he spoke. For centuries, we believed humanity was small. We believed you needed us to guide you. Today we see the truth. You do not need guidance. You need recognition. Murmurs filled the chamber. Some delegates nodded slowly. Others clenched their fists in anger. The reptilian warlord hissed, "This is madness. If we allow them equality, soon they will surpass us all." The winged elder answered softly, "Perhaps they already have." The chamber broke into chaos again. Voices clashed like blades. Some demanded the humans be cast out. Others whispered that war would be suicide. The dreadnought's shadow loomed above, reminding them of the price of defiance. Through the noise, the human commander remained silent. He did not argue. He did not plead. He only waited. His silence was louder than their shouting. It forced them to face the truth themselves. At last, the council leader struck his staff on the floor. The sound echoed like thunder. "Enough," he commanded. "This chamber must decide. Shall we make humanity an equal among us, or shall we make war against them?" The words froze every delegate. The choice was laid bare. There was no middle path, no compromise, peace built on respect, or fire that would consume them all. One by one, voices rose. The insectoid chieftain spoke first, his mandibles clicking nervously. My people fought them once. We lost everything. I say we grant them equality. A roar of disapproval followed. The reptilian warlord shouted, "You would bow to fear." But his voice shook, his claws tapping the desk. He remembered the weapons that had just unfolded in orbit. He remembered the silence of the Dreadnought. Then the amphibian delegate rose. My ancestors starved in the siege of Carven. It was humans who endured beside us. They did not kneel then, they will not kneel now. I say we stand with them. More voices joined, more arguments clashed. The chamber dared with fear, anger, and doubt, but slowly the tide began to shift. The reality was clear. No fleet could stop the Dreadnought. No decree could silence humanity. War meant extinction. Respect meant survival. The silver-skinned leader turned toward the humans, his face pale, but his eyes steady. Humanity, he said, the Council chooses recognition. You will stand among us as equals, not as servants, not as children, but as a people who endured. Gasps spread, some in relief, some in outrage. The reptilian warlord slammed his claws again. This is a mistake. They will rise above us all. The human commander finally spoke, his voice cut through the storm like a blade. No, we will rise beside you, but if you try to bind us again, we will rise against you. The chamber fell into silence once more. Every delegate knew the truth of those words. It was not arrogance, it was certainty, the kind of certainty born from centuries of survival. Above the planet, the Dreadnought shifted one last time. Its weapons dimmed, its engines quieted. The threat was withdrawn, but the memory remained. Every eye that looked upon it knew this day would be remembered forever. The human commander turned to leave. His officers followed, their boots echoing across the chamber floor. They did not bow. They did not wait for applause. They simply walked out, carrying silence with them. At the doors, the commander paused. He looked back once. His words were calm, but heavy with promise. You expected diplomacy. You received humanity. Remember that. Then they were gone. The massive doors closed behind them. The chamber sat in silence, delegates shaken, leaders pale. The galaxy had changed in one single meeting. Outside, the Dreadnought slowly turned away. Its engines flared, carrying it into the black. The stars swallowed it, but its shadow remained in every heart. The galaxy had expected to tame humanity. Instead, they had witnessed the dawn of equals, and the balance of power would never be the same again. The galaxy expected diplomacy. But humanity had arrived with a Dreadnought, and the universe would tremble at that truth forever.